Hello, I'm Sarah, otherwise known as Yarnmugs on Instagram and Ravelry. Welcome to my, not very prepared, I think it's 29th. Welcome to my 29th podcast where I chat about my knitting, crochet, sewing and books I've recently read. If you are new, you are very welcome and I hope you enjoy what I chat about. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and interacting so positively with me. I hope you're all okay. Today is the 30th of November 2022, the last day of November, and I really wanted to get a podcast up before I start vlogmas tomorrow. Those that watched the channel before know that I did took part in Vlogtober for the first time this year, and with all your encouragement I'm going to take part in Vlogmas too. So please join me if you fancy getting a little snippet into my everyday life. So let's crack on and talk about what I've been making since the last podcast. I've mainly been working on my Yuletide jumper blanket, which is a pattern by Lucy from Attic 24. This, in my little book where I write down all the projects I've been making, this was number one on my makes. It was like the first project I started in January 2022. And I've been a bit on and off with it throughout the year, but in the last month I've really been focusing on it and I've loved it. I'm now on row 6, I've just finished row 61 and the blanket has 78 rows. So I'm hoping to get this finished in December. I tend to do a row, or a round rather than a row. It's a square but going round, around a night. Oh look, it's lovely. I've said this before when I've chatted about it. I've just picked 3 colours compared to Lucy's. The pack that you can buy from Wool Warehouse is really colourful, very autumnal, very Christmassy. But I wanted colours that would match our home. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's really getting big, so when I'm working on it at night, it's keeping me warm as well. And this yarn is Hobbycraft's Women's Institute yarn, which is very reasonable. They often have a deal by 3 for 2. So yeah, really pleased with it, and enjoying working on it. And it's definitely, it's fun, isn't it? Sometimes you hit a point where it really feels like a blanket, but I'm going to keep going. So get to those 78 rounds, and then there's 7 rounds of border. But yeah, I'm loving it. So that's a lovely make. All of Lucy's blanket patterns are wonderful and so easy, and lots of photo descriptions. So if you're new to crochet, check out Lucy's blog. There's hundreds of patterns on there for all different things, but her blankets are really inspirational. So yeah, that's been my main thing I've been working on. I did say last time I was not going to cast on anything else this year, but I was really drawn to a beautiful photo on Instagram of some wrist warmers. And I just knew straight away I had to make them. And I also knew that I wanted to make them with some of my Enchanted yarn club from Beehive yarns. The wrist warmers are called Wintertide wrist warmers, and they're by Carrie from Candy Patch Designs. And it's a free pattern, and it's her first pattern, and it's wonderful. I'll just show you first. This was the yarn I used. So this was my... So it's from Beehive Yarns, and it was my January Enchanted Yarn Club. Dolly is her DK weight yarn, and this pattern called for DK. So as soon as I saw it, I just knew I really wanted to, I just gravitated to this one. So here they are. They are really lovely. They've got a very long cuff. I'll put one on. And they've got this really simple pattern repeat. So it's lovely and long, and then you can scooch that down so it can really keep, like I say, your wrists warm, or you can pull them up, you know, if you want to keep your whole hand warm. But say you were wearing them at home, it's got this lovely pattern here with a lovely texture. I really love texture. Can you see those ridges? Isn't it lovely? Or aren't they lovely? And you could easily adapt these, you know, if you didn't want them so long, you could make it shorter, or you could make them longer to fit your hand. But for me, yeah, these are perfect. But these are going to be a gift. I saw a friend yesterday, and she found it funny, it's such a coincidence sometimes. We were just chatting, she said, oh, I could really do with some fingerless mitts, I think she was saying, to wear in the house to keep her warm. And I went, oh, that's funny, I've just made some wrist warmers, so I'm going to send these in the post to her today. Now, what I was thinking as well, because they're quite long, I think I am going to put some stitches in here to create a thumb hole rather than them being completely open. I said to my friend, did you think she would like that? And she said, yeah, that'd be great. So how good is that? You can sort of, again, adapt it a bit. Only need just a few stitches just to create that little thumb bit. So yeah, anyone that's never knitted mitts before, you know, that's another option, isn't it? This is such a lovely pattern. And the yarn is beautiful. It's very soft, lovely to work with. I was watching Beth from Beehive Yarn. She's got a podcast, and she was chatting about her DK weight, and she said it's quite, what was the word she used? Heavy DK. So she said it's almost like a sport weight. I don't think I've ever used sport weight before, so I wouldn't really know, but oh, it's just lovely. I'm really, really pleased. Lovely pattern, Carrie, and yeah. And also the other thing I was going to say, I made one in a couple of evenings. So if you had the day off, you could make one in a day easily. It doesn't take long, and really enjoyable. So yeah, I know I wasn't going to cast anything on, but I had to, and I'm so pleased. And in fact, they've turned into an impromptu gift for someone. So that's my Wintertide wrist warmers. Everything I talk about, I will link down below in the description box, whether that is yarn or patterns or people. So yeah, check out down below if you want to get a bit more detail, or you want to click on any links to directly to the pattern. Yeah, so really, really, really pleased with them. I'll get them sent in the post. Oh, in fact, I'll just make that little thumb bit and then send them off in the post. Let me have a sip of tea. It's chilly in this conservatory today. I think when I opened the door, it's 9 degrees. So I'll quickly put a blast. I've got a little heater just to warm it up a bit. It is a bit chilly. Okay, the next thing I made is a hot water bottle cover. Now, I haven't used a hot water bottle for years. We tend to have wheat bags that you can heat up in the microwave and sort of drape around your neck or over your lap. I don't know why, but we seem to have lost one of them. We had 2. And then with the cost of living crisis, we're trying to, again, be really careful with our heating and not have it on at all or very minimally. So I found our old hot water bottle in the airing cupboard, and I thought, I'm going to make a cover. Now, I didn't follow a pattern. I've never done this before, really. I feel really proud, but I've created my own pattern. I'm going to show you and then I'll explain it. So this is my hot water bottle cover. Nothing, exciting about it. It's all very plain, but just the fact that I've, worked it out and decided what to do, I feel really proud of it. So what I thought when I started is that I was going to pretend that I'm making a toe-up sock. And I think because I've made lots of toe-up socks lately, that just seemed to be the obvious thing to do, so just to kind of make a tube. So I used Judy's Magic Cast On to create the beginning stitches. It's so neat. It's a really easy, lovely way to start off a toe up or a tube type pattern. And then I did knit front and back for the edges to create that increase. And again, just did it as if I was doing a sock. So you do an increase and then you do a knit row, then you do an increase and a knit row. And I kept sort of putting it over my hot water bottle to make sure it fitted. And then once it got to here and it fit lovely, I then just did knit all the way. This yarn, and I've thrown away the ball band, but it's James C. Brett. I think it's chunky. I bought it years ago from a market in like a bargain bucket. So it's 90% acrylic, 10% wool, and it was 100 gram balls for £1.50. And I bought loads because I've made hats and cows and mitts. So I've used made loads of things out of it. And this was a Stylecraft chunky yarn, but in fact it's thicker than this. So I started to do a stripe and very quickly realised that, oh no, this is going to make the gauge bigger. You can see it sort of bulges a little bit. It's all right when I fill this up with water. So I just carried on with the green. And in fact, this green is one of my favourite colours. I love that kind of sage green. So I knit all the way up. And then when I got to here, I was really trying to think, what am I going to do with this bit? How am I going to cinch it in? But cinch it in a way that I can still fit a hot water bottle in and out. So again, I just did some knit two togethers on one side and a slip knit on the other. Again, the same as you would with like a sock when you're doing the heel or a decrease. I just did that you can see the stitches, only about 3 or 4 rounds of that. I didn't do any knit rounds in between. It was literally just 4 rounds of decreases just to create this little bit here. And then I thought I'm just going to do rib, and it's knit 1, purl 1. And I kept wondering what to do at the top, because a lot of people do a really big rib and then fold it over, but then the opening is, open. And I didn't really want that. I wanted some way of closing it up. So I didn't even look this up. I looked it up afterwards, but I just thought in my head, how do I create a hole? And I knew that I could create a hole by doing a yarn over. So this rib, or the amount of stitches on the front of my needle, because this was all done by magic loop, I had 31 stitches. So I knit 15. So after I've done this load of rib, I've just done some knit. So I did knit 15, yarn over, knit the rest, and then carried on just knitting. So I did a few rows of knitting, and that created just a little hole. I'll open it up. It's only small, and it was only afterwards when I just Googled how do you create a buttonhole, and there's other ways of obviously doing it a bit better. But I've just got, a little hole, enough, and it stretches to fit that little button, which I just found in my button stash, and it matches perfectly. So yeah, I just did a few rows of knit after that, just to not close the hole, but just to have some knits above the hole. And then I did Jenny's stretchy bind off, which created, I didn't even think about this, but created this little curl, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, if I saw this in a shop, I would buy it. I know it's nothing special, as in there's no pattern, but it feels fit for purpose, and it fits perfectly. And I'll just show you, I can still, the rib still stretches, so I can take it off as well. So yeah, again, this didn't take very long at all. Less than a week, just a few days here and there. And I'm really, really pleased with it. And I'm using it already to keep me cosy. So yeah, I've made a pattern. What do you think? It's not really a pattern, is it? It's a toe-up sock, but with some little, personalised adjustments. But you know, before I could knit, you know, that's what I would be looking for. I would be looking for a very simple pattern to tell me what to do. So I have written it all down. So, is that pattern worthy? Is that worthy of writing up and giving out? I don't know. It's very simple, but sometimes simple is good, isn't it? And it made me think, oh, I wish I'd thought of this earlier, and I would have made lots of hot water bottle covers for people. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So that's my second make. So what I haven't done is I haven't worked on my Charlotte's Universe blanket. I haven't worked on my autumn socks, and I definitely haven't been working on my Harry Styles cardigan, which my daughter is cross about. She really wants me to do that, but I can't summon up the enthusiasm. It's so silly because they're just little squares. So in December I think I will really try and do that. And it's a bit like the Yuletide, when you don't think you want to work on something, you know, then you sort of lose enthusiasm for it. But when you do, when you put the time in, then you love it again, or you enjoy what you're doing. So yeah, that's the plan. So yes, that's 3 things I've been working on: knitting and crochet. And then I've made a couple of dresses. So I'll start off showing you what the inspiration was. I'll turn this inside the right way. Now this is one of my dresses I sewed a while ago, and I've worn it absolutely loads. So it's not ironed, and it's got probably cat hairs on it. This is called the plum dress. It's in a lovely dobby. See, there's like a embroidered like little bits on it, and it's buttoned up at the back, and a gathered skirt. Now, anyone that watched this when I described this ages and ages ago, when I made this, it's the plum dress by Coco Wawa. It's the first time I'd ever ordered a PDF pattern and had to get it printed rather than a pattern in a packet. And I don't know whether I got something wrong when I got it printed. Not printed from home, I got them printed from a company. But the pattern just came out wrong. It was just, the size was wrong. And I had to repair the damage, I just had to use my overlocker. Now, I haven't changed my threads of my overlock. I'm still using like a cream, and sorry, it's all a bit, this is so old now, it's all getting a bit baggy. I literally just used the overlocker and sheared up the sides of the dress, including the sleeves, because the sleeves were sort of, I can't really describe it, but all I remember is it did not fit at all, and I just thought, there's no way I'm going to wear this, I need to just chop it. And in doing so, I created this dress, which I have really loved. You can see here, it's quite thin. I wear this dress in the summer and in the winter with leggings, tights, or a jersey jumper underneath. So it's a real workhorse, it's done really well. But when I iron it, there's a bit around my bum, you probably can't see it here, but when I'm ironing it, it is starting to look a bit threadbare, and I feel like one day that's going to just be split. It will just be, just where the fabric is wearing. Yeah, I can't see it at all now, but honestly, when I'm ironing, that's what it feels like. It feels like it's getting very thin. So Gaynor from Tales from Cuckoo Land has often said, oh, I love that dress, you need to make it again. And I'm thinking, there's no way how can I make this again? I don't really know what I did to create this. So then I got this idea that, and I've heard other people talk about this, how if you've got a favourite dress, how you can create a pattern from it. So I just thought of what the pattern pieces look like on bodices and skirts, and often they're often a half. You fold your fabric in half, and the front bodice and the back bodice tend to be cut on the fold. This one wasn't, because that's why I've got buttons in it, but I just thought, no, I'm going to make it very easy, cut it on the fold. So I laid this down on some paper, drew around it to give me a bit of seam allowance. I'll show you. And I've written it down here, kind of the things that I did. Now, obviously because I'd done the plum dress, I had a bit of the pattern here, but I just knew that I'm going to have to adjust it. Right, so let's show you. So this was the plum dress bodice pattern, but I've altered it by laying it on the half bodice of this dress and cutting this bit and this bit different just to match my current dress. Now you can see here where it veers out, that sort of has created that kind of cap sleeve, or so it doesn't end on the shoulder. And so because I wanted to add sleeves, I didn't want to create that same dress again where it was just off the shoulder. I wanted to actually create a bodice and an attached sleeve. So I kind of measured myself from here to my shoulder. I don't know if I'm explaining this all right. And so then measured it from here to where I thought my shoulder was, and then drew a straight line down to where the armpit was. And I thought that will kind of create, like a bodice shape to attach a sleeve to. I did it once and attached the sleeve, and the sleeve still started a bit low. So I did it again. But I thought I'm going to keep this bit here because I might want to create the dress again where it has just got that kind of t-shirty cap sleeve. So just by doing this on the fabric, cutting that bit off, then gave me a bit of a bodice. And I did the same with the back piece. I cut a diagonal from the shoulder to the armpit, or leave it if I want to do a t-shirt. So it's a very simple, pattern for a front and back bodice, both cut on the fold so that you can just open it up and then you've got a front and a back. I then so let me just see what I did. I then created some bias binding so that I could create a neck, and on here this did have bias binding. I used a 1 centimetre seam allowance all over, and I added some pockets, whereas this one I had to sort of shear the pockets off because the skirt part was so much extra material. So let me show you, because that might not make sense. Oh, and I've got this sleeve pattern, but I can't remember if this was from the plum dress or I've taken this from another sleeve pattern. And again, it was much longer, but that's for like a short sleeve. Sorry, I don't know if I'm... So I remember that in the plum dress, for some reason, the sleeve pattern wasn't there. So I do think this sleeve pattern is from another dress. Anyway, sorry, that's not really making sense. So this is what I made. I have made my own dress pattern from this beautiful double gauze black, never really showed, oh there, it's nice and black there, with gold dots. Now these gold dots iron off if you iron it, but inside it's plain black. So I've created a bodice with no darts, so it's just a loose kind of smock, round neck, gathered skirt with pockets. And the sleeves, I do know this now, yeah, actually this sleeve pattern is from the Nina Lee spring dress, which I've used quite a lot. So I created the short sleeved, but then I wanted to add some extra. So you might not really be able to tell, which is absolutely fine. I don't necessarily want it to tell, but there's a little seam here where I've added a bit of extra fabric to make them a bit longer. And then I've put elastic in the wrist. And I've put my little label that my sister bought me loads of. And I love it. It's loose, it's comfortable, it feels Christmassy. And I really, really love it. And it fits nice. Yeah. So it's going to be lovely. I've worn it once to a little event I went to recently. But yeah, this is exactly what I want. So this will now replace, I'll still wear this one, but in fact when I put this on, this feels so thin, but it's still a handy dress to have. But I feel now it's all about the self-drafting of patterns today. But I know I used a bit of a template to begin with, but really it was based on the shape of this dress, which was not the pattern at all. So do that yourself. Let me know, have you ever done that? So just fold a dress that you like in half, and trace out a pattern with a bit of seam allowance. I feel really proud of myself. I feel like I've created a dress that no one else has got, but it is a bit, I know that is what I like. I do like a bodice and a gathered skirt, but I'm really happy with the sleeve. I've got a nice little bit of gathering there, but the fact that I made it longer, added extra, no one would ever know. And the added, the little elastic waist, it's just so pretty. Yeah, it's lovely. And I think double gauze, it's like warm in the winter, cool in the summer. There's something really lovely about it. Sometimes it feels thick, but it's also floaty. Lovely. Now, one thing I didn't do, which I think I should have done, I forgot to stay stitch the neck, but the neck is, I don't think it's stretched. I'm hoping it's not, but it's quite a wide neck. I might wear this during, I will, probably in Vlogmas, I'll wear this when I go to my work Christmas do, so I'll show you it on then. So yeah, really, really happy with that. That's a lovely, and thank you Gaynor for encouraging me to create the plum dress again, but my version. So that's going to be called my Christmas dress. And then the other dress I sewed is the one that I'm wearing. Oh, let me just tell you that fabric, double gauze, that was from my local sewing studio who taught me how to sew. She's no longer selling fabric, but I bought that quite a while ago. Let me just have a look so I can tell you, because it wasn't expensive. I'll have a look. Yeah, black cotton double gauze with gold dots. I bought 2 meters for £24. So yeah, I would buy a dress for £24 in the shop, would you? So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. So yeah, this next dress, here we are. I have made the spring dress. Now this is the 3rd spring dress I've made. And this was a free pattern in Simply Sewing magazine ages ago. But it's by Nina Lee, so I imagine you can still get this, from pattern stores. Oh, excuse me. But it's such a lovely pattern. Like I say, I've made it 3 times. And this one is made from red floral needle cord. I bought 2.5 meters for £21.25, and I've used nearly every single bit of it. So, yeah, I feel really comfortable making this Nina Lee. It's a really lovely pattern. One thing I do is I halve that depth, because I don't want it. My first one was really low and I don't like it, so I halve it up to here. You make your own bias binding out of this needle cord, which is really easy to do. So it's, again, this one, on my original pattern I had darts, but this one and the previous one I've not added darts. So it's, no darts. It is just a bodice with a gathered skirt and with pockets. And the same as that black dress, the pattern, it's hard to feel. Yeah, this is so good, this needle cord. It hides things. So I did the sleeve pattern to here, but then I've added some extra circles, because the way I'd cut the, my pattern out, I didn't have big pieces of fabric. So I was able to cut this part of the sleeve to create that. But to get these bits, you know, some length, I just had some long strips and I cut them in 2 separate parts. So I think I've got, again, you're not going to be able to see it. Oh yeah, I think it feels like it ends there to there. And then I added another. So with some rectangles, I enclosed them into a ring, like a circle, and then attached them right sides together to get a longer sleeve. And again, with a bit of elastic at the bottom. Oh, and I'm really, really pleased. So it feels nice. It feels like it fits lovely. The needle cord was very lightweight because I was worried, is it going to be too stiff and thick, because my other spring dresses have been in like a viscose where it's been very floaty. I think, and I've said this before, sometimes I think I should make my bodice maybe just a little bit longer, but I do like, because my waist is here and I do need to create a bit of a smaller part of my body to give me that bit of a shape. And I obviously, if I'd had darts in this, it would have been a bit tighter. So I'm glad I have got a bit big later. As in, I've put. Oh, I won't talk about my body. Sorry. Yeah. So without darts, it just gives me a nice. Yeah, and it feels fitted, but doesn't feel tight. And I love it. I love the red. I've got one red jumper that I do like wearing. I do like red, and the colours are. So there's like orange and yellow and a bit of fleck of green for the little florals. Oh, it's perfect. 21.25. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? And I bought this fabric from another local haberdashery near where I work, and I had vouchers for my 50th birthday a year ago, so I just bought all fabric. In fact, I think I bought 4 lots of fabric and I've used it all up now. I had £80 worth of fabric vouchers. So, oh, did you see that? There's a bit of fluff. Anyway, I love it. Really, really happy. And I would love to make things with needle cord again. I am wearing this with a pair of tights, but I do think it might stick. So I probably do need to get a little half slip or full slip. Years ago, I did used to have a full slip. I might go to Marks and Spencer's and get one, because I am wearing tights with all of my summer dresses as well, and that's really annoying, isn't it, when it sticks? So yeah, really happy. I love this Nina Lee. I have not done, I think my first ever one was 2 tiers, but now I just tend to do one long, not long, but it's at my knees. And I've never done this fluttery bit. I'm really into the little bit of elastic. I think that's really pretty. Yeah, so I've made a blanket, the wrist warmers, the hot water bottle, and 2 dresses since I last saw you. So that's lovely. That's all the makes. Now, just some other things I wanted to share with you was my most recent Enchanted yarn club. So I've been doing this all year. This is the October, and the November yarn is in the post. This was the inspirational photo, and this is the yarn. I mean, she's so clever, Beth, with her yarn dyeing. Isn't that lovely? The purple and the golds. Yeah, I've been absolutely, so impressed, and I've loved every single yarn, which is why I bought her Advent, because I just thought, oh, if it's anything like these, they're going to be lovely. So I just now need to start using them, but yeah, next year. But yeah, really happy with that. And her Enchanted Yarn Club, that finishes in December. She's just put on Instagram her December inspirational photo, and it looks really silvery and magical. And then next year she'll create a new yarn club. So I know someone else said, oh, I've started ordering her Enchanted Yarn Club, but it is going to finish. And I have had every single one for the whole year, and I've loved it. So that's what I bought for yarn. And then I just wanted to chat quickly about the books that I've been reading. So the first one is this one. Now, I bought this book in a secondhand bookshop when I met up with some friends, Instagram podcaster friends recently. We went to a National Trust home, like house and garden, called The Vine, and in their little secondhand bookshop, this was wrapped in brown paper with a little label with a tiny description. So it was like a surprise, and I was really drawn to it. But it's a bit disappointing. It was all right, but this book, it's called The Restaurant of Love Regained. And it says here, international bestseller. This has been translated, and sometimes you can tell it's translated. It's written strangely. There are no chapters. It's literally, the whole book. There aren't even really many breaks. So, like sometimes you'd get to a point where you would stop, of an evening. And sometimes it would end and would feel weird going into the next, not even paragraph, the next page. So it is a bit strange. There's some niceness about it though. There's some nice descriptions of relationships, but it was strange. She does write children's books, and sometimes it did feel a bit childish, but that could just be the way it has been translated. So it's a very small book. I read it really quickly, but it's not been one of my favourites. And then I read this one, John Irving, The Fourth Hand, and I was also disappointed with this. I've read several John Irving books, but long time ago, before my daughter was born, I think. So over 15 years ago, I've read quite a few, some of which are amazing, and they're still one of my favourites. Like one of them was called A Prayer for Owen Meany. I loved that book. The World According to Garp, A Widow for 1 Year. He's written some really amazing stories, but this was really disappointing. And it's about a man, a journalist, who has his hand bitten off by a tiger when he's doing a story. He's at work, and then it's about him having a hand transplant from someone else, and it's just a bit strange. And also, I don't like the way he talks about women in the book. Women are referred to as either being attractive or middle-aged with bellies and not sexually attractive, and it's just really disappointing. It's like he's a really good storyteller, but the women characters here in it are all either, like I say, attractive or not, or and also not believable. Like the things sometimes that the women would do, I just think that's just not real. That's just not what I didn't warm to any of the characters, especially the main character. And more often it's John's writing. I just thought, not really happy with the way the women are in this book. So I am on Goodreads, and because I don't really like to read reviews before I've read a book, but afterwards, so many people had written similar things. So that's interesting. But I love a lot of his other books, but this one I was disappointed with. So that's the books. That's all the makes, all the yarn. I think that's it. 38 minutes. Yeah, lovely. So, oh look, can you see that magpie? Jumping up there. We do get a lot of magpies around here. I was just seeing if there was any more. And also we've got lots of pigeons, so our whole roof is full of sticks, like as if a pigeon's making a nest up there somewhere. Oh, anyway, that's the end of the podcast, end of November, but I'll be back tomorrow for vlogmas. I've got no real plans. I don't really know. I'm just going to take it one day at a time, show you what happens, little snippets, and hope you still all enjoy it. As a disclaimer, I'm not very Christmassy, so it's not going to be super Christmassy. It will be more just vlogging in December. So see what you think. Hope you like it. But thanks everyone. Thanks for all your comments before. Thanks for any Ko-fi donations. All really, really appreciated. And I'll see you in vlogmas. Bye.